Hello EFD squad and welcome back to the Euro Roundup where you pick our winners and losers from the weekend just past. Joining me, it's Sunderland's brand spanking new signing, it's Grant Leadbitter,
Back,
the
baby.
33-year-old, back for a second bite of the cherry.
Yeah, I just can't get enough, can he? Not what we needed, but he comes back anyway. But we start off today's show talking about Borussia Dortmund.
There was no segue from Grant Leadbitter to Dortmund, you did really well there.
Well, yeah, there was not much I could do there. And this came in from Cameron Smith, and that's because Dortmund have got off to their best ever start to a season. They've now picked up 48 points from their first 19 games after thrashing Hanover 5-1. It was some reliable faces sort of doing the job in this game. Marco Reus and Mario Götze have scored in the same game for the first time since January 2013. Götze has now scored more goals for Dortmund, that's 37, than Bayern, 36, so his homecoming is truly complete now. And Dortmund were relentless, they were ruthless in front of goal. They've now scored in their last 17 Bundesliga games and have only lost once in their last 19 fixtures. And they were awesome in this game. The interchange between their forward players, Hakimi on the left making some awesome runs from left back. But the win was to be expected. Hanover sits 17th on the table with the third worst goal difference in the league. And they subsequently fired their manager after this. This was the death knell of his time in charge.
Chop.
He was off. On loan fullback Achraf Hakimi from Real Madrid. He started proceedings on the 23rd minute with his second goal of the season. He also assisted the second, a classy dink by Marco Reus at the near post.
Yeah.
Really nice finish.
So
actually.
good that the defender thought he'd got there. He dove straight in front of Reus and Reus was just like, pitching wedge.
So nice. Absolutely beautiful. And Hakimi's 90 looked like this. He made 4 tackles, he put in 1 interception, 76 passes, the second most behind Axel Witsel, who again was just running proceedings. You know, surging from deep, he looked excellent in this game, and Hakimi also had a pass accuracy of 88%. So a really great display from him, and Marco Reus had another great game.
Yeah, a lot of people tweeting me to say that Hakimi was the standout man in this game, but the standout man of the season has been Marco Reus.
Doubt.
He's now scoring and assisting at a higher rate than any time in the last 5 seasons, contributing to a combined 1.03 goals and assists per 90. He guarantees you a goal involvement to some degree. Now, the last time he played over 1,800 minutes was in 15-16, excuse me, when he produced 15 goals and assists, has 18 this season in 300 fewer minutes already.
Wow.
Jadon Sancho also clocking up 2 more assists in this game, now has 9. Only Messi and Hazard have more. He has 6 goals to boot
Great
as well.
company to keep.
He and Reus now 36 goal involvements between them.
Wow.
Tasty. 13 of Dortmund's 18 shots from this game were inside the box. That's how decisive this team are, with 9 coming on target to Hanover's 3. So this could have been an even greater margin of victory. Hanover's solitary goal came courtesy of a deflection as well, as Dortmund only allowed 5 shots from less than 12 yards out. So doing it on both ends, really. And I didn't expect this consistency from Dortmund, particularly defensively. They've now shipped just 19 goals and scored 50, although, like we've kind of reiterated, as the season's gone on, XG does have them overperforming at an alarming rate. So expected goals actually dictates that owing to the quality of chances that Dortmund have produced, they should have scored around 36, which has helped create a points disparity of 14.
Wow, okay.
So in their metric, Dortmund possibly have 14 extra points from miraculous last-minute goals, free kicks, Paco Alcalfa strikes, that the average team doesn't necessarily secure. Dortmund remains 6 points ahead of Munich. It might be 3 now because they play... Did they play yesterday? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, they beat Stuttgart.
Beat Stuttgart. They have Eintracht away in their next game and Bayern visit Leverkusen. So tough tie for them, and the race is really hotting up. One more slip, I think Bayern might take it. But if they can continue this consistency, my oh my, we're going to have an exciting run.
It's going to be quite a race. We head over to the Netherlands now for our first loser, and it is Ajax at the suggestion of @HM Waluigi.
It's more of a Yoshi man myself.
Oh yeah?
Ooh, that's
very good.
Yeah, it's decent. Decent. What about you? Who are you?
It's Toad or maybe a little bit of Peaches as well.
Peaches? Peaches and cream.
Absolute babe.
Anyway, back to the football, because Ajax did lose 6-2 to old foes Feyenoord to fall 5 points behind PSV in the Eredivisie title race. It's the first time the Amsterdam club have lost to their Rotterdam rivals in a league Klassieker since 2012, and just the second time since 2006. The first time that manager Van Bronckhorst has actually got the better of Ajax in his 4-year managerial stint. And even more astonishingly for the visitors, it means that they've conceded 10 goals in their last 2 Eredivisie games, having let in just 8 in the previous 17 fixtures. The goalkeeper before this had only conceded 7 in 17 games.
Wow. Okay, it's all come crashing down. Yeah,
mental.
4-4 draw with Herenveen, of course, yeah.
Yeah, it's also their first loss in all competitions since their 3-0 defeat back in September to PSV, and the first time they've conceded 4 goals in consecutive league games since 1959. So a historic result to boot in the worst possible sense. And this result will no doubt put the club's choice to participate in the Florida Cup over in the United States under the spotlight even more.
What's the Florida Cup?
Yeah, just a money-spinning Mickey Mouse mid-season tournament.
They're still in the Champions League as well. What are they doing?
I guess that clubs like this, have to do a little bit more on the commercial side of things to kind of fill that void behind the rest of Europe's top 5. But still, not great, like you said, when they've got that doubleheader against Real Madrid coming up. Now, Erik ten Hag's side actually went through free kick specialist Lasse Schöne, but were ultimately bulldozed by their opponents on the break repeatedly thereafter. This really could have been about 9-5. The chances in this game there was a plethora of them for both teams, but Feyenoord definitely the better of the two. Ajax conceded 20 shots to Van Bronckhorst's men, with 14 of those coming from inside the box. 7 of those dictated as big chances. Astonishingly, given that some of Ajax's defence still put up big numbers in this game. There were certain personnel that put in a big shift. Frenkie de Jong, not great defensively, made no tackles and just 1 interception. He normally averages around 3 combined, but De Ligt put in 6 tackles and interceptions and won 4 aerial duels alone. But none of them could contest the genius of Robin van Persie. The old boy, the silver fox, he still got it. He was dropping into pockets of space. He was stitching together attacks. And the first 2 goals came as a result of him, like I said, finding that half space, putting people in down the wing. And he only scores bangers or little deft touches, doesn't he? None of his finishes aren't aesthetically pleasing. So the first one, he's absolutely rocketed it in, and the second one, he's just gently spanked it, caressed it into the roof of the net. Meanwhile, you're picking up from there.
Yeah, well, Feyenoord will be delighted because manager Van Bronckhorst actually announced last Thursday that he's leaving at the end of the season. After 4 years in charge, obviously won that league title, but maybe he just feels he's slightly run out of steam. I don't know whether he's got a new job offer on the table, but a slightly bizarre decision because they played exceptionally well in this game. We've got to tap more onto Van Persie's statistics. He had 4 shots, 2 goals, 100% dribble success, 90% pass accuracy, 1 key pass. It was the best I've seen him play since probably that title-winning year under Fergie. He was exceptional. And even more impressive, he only did it in 68 minutes. Absolutely remarkable. Before this match, he had just 1 win and 1 goal in 6 appearances versus Ajax, but he quickly put that right. And we've also got to mention in-form right winger Steven Berghuis. He got 1 goal, 2 assists, had 6 shots, 68 touches, 82 pass accuracy, which is pretty high for a winger. Another man to watch is Feyenoord's 21-year-old left-back Calvin Verdonk, who was starting just his 8th Eredivisie game. He played exceptionally well. He only played 73 minutes, but he made 10 tackles and interceptions, won 2 aerial duels, and had 74 touches, more than anyone else on the pitch beside de Jong. As for Ajax, this is a really difficult period for them. They've obviously conceded 10 goals in 2 league games. They've lost Frenkie de Jong to Barcelona this summer, and they've got to try and make ground on PSV. They've got Real Madrid in the Champions League, as you mentioned, and they've got Feyenoord in the Cup semi-finals again. So it's going to be a really challenging a couple of months for Ten Hag's men. And, they've got to arrest this slump quickly. How worried Ajax fans are you guys about this recent period, and what can they do to improve it? Let us know in the comments down below.
The atmosphere at this game, banging.
Incredible.
Our final winner comes from Sevilla, and this comes from John 48863552. A lot of Johns out there.
Massive.
Sevilla back in the hunt, mate.
Yeah, crucial win for them. With Atleti, Real Madrid and Barcelona winning at the weekend, they needed to win this, and they did so in emphatic style with a 5-0 win over Levante. They beat, obviously, Barcelona in the Copa del Rey only 3 days before 2-0. But this ended a sort of dodgy period for them in the league.
Yeah.
They'd gone 4 games in the league without winning, and this result keeps them 4th in the standings. So much needed. We may have seen this one coming, though. Pablo Machin, the Sevilla boss, has a great record against Levante. He's undefeated in 4 games, 3 wins and 2 draws, 3 wins and 1 draw, scoring 14 goals in the process. This game, though, was a really sort of mixed affair. The first half was relatively drab and a bit dour, and then the second half it really came alive. I think 4 of Sevilla's goals came in that half, and they managed 14 shots in that half alone.
Wow.
Which is absolutely crazy. Sevilla have actually been slightly unlucky in La Liga this year. They've scored a hell of a lot of goals, but they've also hit the woodwork 12 times. With only Real Madrid and Barcelona on 13 managing more. So, it's all looking pretty good for Sevilla. It was a much needed win for them, but were there any individuals that stood out, Chris?
I only watched the extended highlights of this one, but Quincy Promes looks like he is a decent candidate for man of the match. Grabbed an assist and a goal in this game, also completed 6 dribbles, but did have a penalty save before scoring on the rebound. And when Sevilla have popped this season, Ben Yedder has been at the centre of it, hasn't he? And it was no exception in this game. He's now been involved in 9 goals for Sevilla in his last 11 games in all competitions. That's 7 goals and 2 assists, also bagging his 10th league goal in this game, meaning he's now 1 away from his record best tally, which he secured in 16-17. And Portuguese forward Silva also ended his 7-game drought in the league with his 9th goal in the competition. So both of that front pair firing. And Sevilla, like you said, back sort of where they left off before a bit of a dodgy patch. Looking slick in the final third yet again. They've scored the 2nd most goals in La Liga with 40. However, it's worth noting they are overperforming slightly. According to expected goals by around 5, although that's still surprisingly low given how good 3 or 4 individuals have been on the scoring end. Sevilla's next game is a big test. It's against Barcelona on Wednesday in the 2nd leg of the Copa del Rey, currently winning 2-0. So let's see if they can go through and maybe challenge for a cup, which they so richly deserve owing to how entertaining they've been this campaign. On to our final loser.
Right, we take a journey over from Spain to Italy now, where we're covering Inter Milan at the suggestion of @Feginator. What a name.
Not quite sure why. This was an absolutely dour affair. Maybe because Juventus narrowly edged out Lazio in the other big game in Serie A this weekend, which means that Inter fall even further behind. The old lady pretty much got it wrapped up now, hasn't she? This was Inter's first defeat, though, in almost 2 months. They've been putting together some consistent form at the very least, but fell by Torino. The only goal coming from Armando Izzo in the first half. Ola Aina in this game had a shot that went off for a throw-in. I thought that embodied the game pretty well, actually.
Not just a little throw-in near the corner flag as well. It was like about 40 metres back.
Yeah, it was fairly convincing. It was John O'Shea vibes from 2006. But chances that Inter came by were sort of few and far between. Lautaro Martinez looked like their liveliest player in the opening 45, missing from 6 yards at 0-0. Politano also struck wide with just moments left on the clock, really. I think about 10 minutes, actually. A busy 15-minute period it was for him as well. Substitute Matteo Paletano, who arrived from Sassuolo in the summer. He saw a straight red late on following a dive and then subsequent descent to the referee.
Not great.
So he saw fit just to give him his marching orders. Man of the match was goal scorer Izzo, and one of the few things we could find to substantiate this claim was the fact that he won 6 aerial duels. So that gives you an indication of the sort of attritional game it was.
Quite a small bloke as well.
Yeah, no one won more in this game, and it was only his 2nd goal of the season, but no one really created a good chance. So the overall expected goals with a combined 24 shots was around 1.5 goals.
Oh, not lovely.
Inter narrowly edging Torino, but not so much in that they deserve the points and Torino didn't. In fact, this should probably have ended 0-0 and the fans should have been reimbursed because it was boring. But that wasn't the main talking point, and it wasn't the reason. We have got other reasons for including this. Ivan Perisic was an unused substitute in this game. You're going to touch upon maybe a few reasons why, but it looks like he might be trying to engineer a move to the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, there's been talks of a transfer request being handed in. And obviously, you know, he was on the bench with them 1-0 down, chasing the game. You'd think he'd be introduced, but no. Quagliarella came on instead, who has less than 300 minutes of Serie A action this term. And he was the final sub, so Perisic didn't come on at all. Sorry, a little hand touch. Basically, there's been a loan with an offer to buy in the summer from Arsenal, which has been rejected, but he's now handed in that transfer request. Beppe Marotta said, "We will listen to the request of Perisic. We must try to satisfy him, but also respect the value of him."
Why do Arsenal want him?
I think they're just looking for wide talent, but you'd be much better placed for going for someone like Nicolas Pepe rather than even Perisic.
£40 million for an out-of-form 29-year-old. I think he's a good player, don't get me wrong. But surely not the crux of Arsenal's problems.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect so. But then they don't seem to be shopping in the top market these days anyway. I mean, they're looking at Denis Suarez, Eva Banega.
I think he'd be a better signing.
Probably a better signing. But they do need a wide man as well, a natural wide man, because they've got an abundance of 10s, but no natural wingers really. But yeah, I think it's far too much. I mean, there's talk of 34.5 million in the summer, and the Croatian turns 30 on Saturday. He's got just 3 goals and 5 assists this season, but he makes 1.4 key passes per 90, which is only behind Ozil and Kolasinac in the Arsenal squad. Only 0.7 dribbles, so that talk of like a flying winger that I'm sort of hinting that they might need doesn't seem like it's going to be Perisic as the answer to that. And his passing's not great either. This season he averages 71% as his pass completion rate, which would be the worst of any outfield player at the Emirates.
Yeah, he had a stellar half of a first half of a campaign last year, and since then he's been very inconsistent. It's the same with Quagliarella.
Yeah, shined in parts in the World Cup, to be fair to him.
Yeah, and I just don't see anything that justifies the price tag, like you've said. I mean, they've lost Mislintat now, Jesus, easy for you to say, and they're thinking about bringing Monchi in, and if that's true, this doesn't feel like a very Monchi signing either.
No, far from it. He's a specialist with the younger players and finding more sort of unheralded talent even. So we're not convinced about this signing at all, but we want to hear from you guys. What do you guys make of this signing? Can Arsenal get it done? Let us know in the comments below and vote whether you think it's a good one in the poll above.
Rounding off the show then, it's the old dog who's learning plenty of new tricks this season. It's Fabio Quagliarella, who has just been in mesmeric form.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. The form of his career, arguably, the 35-year-old. He's known throughout his career as a scorer of great goals rather than a great goal scorer, but he's now only 4 away from his highest ever league tally. He's got 16, and his best ever was 19 last year. Admittedly, both of his goals in Sampdoria's 4-0 demolition job of Udinese at the weekend were penalties, but they were comprehensive penalties, well taken. And he now ties a very special Serie A record for the most consecutive games scored in with 11.
Wow.
11. He holds that record alongside the one and only Gabriel Batistuta, and he's turning 36 at the end of January. So he just keeps on getting better and better. Next, who's coming up next? His old employers and his hometown club, Napoli. So can he continue this run? Is
there a better narrative in European football at the moment than an unfancied 35-year-old striker claiming that record in his hometown club? Let's hope he does it with another unorthodox, outrageous finish, which has become synonymous with this season. That back heel about 4 or 5 weeks ago, honestly.
Really got behind it, didn't he?
At the end of the video, I was just naked and I didn't know how. That's how good it was. And he's good for his goal haul as well. He's got an expected goals of 12.3, so not overperforming too much. Only Ronaldo tops that. And his strikes on the weekend means that he overtook Christian Vieri in the Serie A goal scoring charts with 143 in total for Quagmeister General. Can he become the oldest man since Luca Toni to claim the Capocannoniere, which is the top goal scorer award? I think he won it for Hellas Verona in 2015 when he was 38.
I'd forgotten that. Mental. Good looking bloke as well, Luca
Toni. Absolutely. Classy man. He even managed to set up Gabbiadini in this game, Quagliarella, and he's only got 2 goals since the start of last May, I think. So just dishing it out, creating, scoring, you know. Gabbiadini scored.
Go on, Gabs.
So that was your roundup for another week. If you've not checked out Winners and Losers, go to Football Daily and do so, where we discuss Manchester United, Chelsea, Tottenham, and those unsavoury scenes between Millwall and Everton fans. What else is happening, dude?
Stay on Euro Football Daily. Go and check out the Stat Wars, the leagues that have dropped. Hamill versus Jackson, Joe versus James from last week. And go over to FDFC as ever and check out our latest sevens, because we're doing quite well.
Yeah, and you've got Sam next in your Stat Wars the League.
I do.
Fixture, haven't you? Promoted from the Championship, and you know, he's taking on the equivalent of what?
We'll see.
Tottenham.
Yeah, Tottenham. Yeah.
Yeah, Tottenham. Yeah.
Spurs.